All right, welcome to lab number 8 of the AZ-204 course. The title of the lab is Create a Multi-Tier Solution by Using Azure Services. But basically what we're doing here is we're creating a container-based service, and then we're putting API management in front of it, right? So it could just as well be, implement API management. But yeah, so there's a very nice architecture diagram on the GitHub page where with the instructions for this lab. So kind of look at that when thinking about what it is that we're actually doing. Next up, let's create our backend service. So we're going to create a web service or web app. And I already have a resource group here. You might want to create one. And we're going to name our instance HTTP API. Fill it with some semi-random stuff. This time we're going to publish a container. We're happy with Linux. And we're trying to select East US. There we go. We're going to create a new plan. And we're just happy with the basic B1 plan. All right. Then the container is actually going to be in Docker Hub. And the image is this one. So it's going to be HTTP bin that we're going to be using. And then creating the web app. And now this takes a while. So I'm going to speed up the video. All right, now our application seems to be deployed. Let's just quickly browse to it to verify. Okay, so now it has actually loaded. So just in case you don't know, HTTP bin, it's a simple way for you to test out different kinds of requests and responses. And in this container, you're actually running it locally. So the instructions tell us to go and take a look at response formats here. And let's say that we want to get back some HTML. We don't want any parameters. And then we just execute. So you can see kind of what's happening here. It's running curl and then giving us back a example HTML page. All right, we can also download random data. Let's get bytes from a dynamic data over here. We're going to just try it out with maybe 25 bytes and then execute. And then you can basically get back the file, so you can download that onto your machine. It's going to be 25 random bytes. Then status codes was the third suggestion over here. So if we get a 404, this, then it's going to actually return us a 404 error. Okay, of course, this doesn't make much sense when using it with a browser like this. But if we would use this from an application point of view, it allows us to do some testing as well. So next up, we're going to create an API proxy in front of this app service, right? So we're going to find that under API management. And we first need to create an API management service. That's okay. The name is going to be a Pro API. We need to set in an organization name and the URL, an email for that as well. On the pricing side, we're happy with the consumption SKU here. Please do look at the documentation with regards to the differences in these pricing tiers, as well as, of course, their effect on pricing. So let's create this one. Okay, that's created. So let's get in there, and then let's create our first API. Under here on the left-hand side, APIs. And then we want to create an HTTP API. We're going to call it HTTP bin. We're happy with the technical name. And the backend service is going to be this one, right? So I'm going to copy paste that over here. Yeah, that looks good. We don't need a suffix, so we're just happy with the way it is. Right now we got our API. Now we need to start to add operations. So the first operation that we could publish would be header echoing. So I'm going to call that echo headers, and I'm going to make that the root, and just save it. So now you can see that this is the echo headers operation. It's on get root. Then let's add a policy to inbound processing. I'm sorry that this is so tight. We don't have much space here. We're going to add a policy. And what we want to do is set headers, right? So we're going to set a header called source. And for that header, we're going to set a value called Azure API Management. Okay, so that's going to be appended to the request that comes into API management when calling the backend service. Let's save that. Then on the backend, we actually want to call a different URL than just the root, right? So the URL that we want to call is called headers. So that's the HTTP bin echoing headers service. Okay, so let's save this. We're done. Let's go over to test. All right, finally we got into the test command. So we're just going to do a normal test. Just going to send. And now what you can see is the response that comes back includes these headers. And especially note that the header that we added, source Azure API Management, has been added there as well. All right, so let's go back to design and add a new operation. This time, let's say that we want to get some legacy data. It's going to be a get, and let's call the resource XML. Right. Save that. And remember that in the backend, what does this do? Get XML. It will return us back some XML data. So if you go over to test, like that, and then run the test, what you will see is you will get back some XML data. All right, so let's change that. Let's do some outbound processing and then add a policy there. And let's say here that what we want to do is other policies, and then we'll just find the outbound base. It's this one. And we're going to add a command here. It's going to be I hate different kinds of keyboards. XML to JSON, and we're going to do it in a direct way, and we want to apply it always, and we don't care about the accept header of the client, right? So as you can probably guess, what this does is it turns the XML response into JSON. So let's save that. We see that the policy is here. And now let's test again. Now we have to do it like this. Yeah. And let's send the request. And ta-da! Now the response is actually JSON and not XML anymore. Just kind of showing you a way of how to really use API management to transform the responses that come from your backend. Fairly simple way of doing that. All right, let's add one more operation. Modifying the status code. And we're going to see get status 404. Remember, this will give us a 404 error back. So in inbound processing, let's add a policy here. We'll rewrite the URL. And so even though what you're getting from us is a status 404, what we're going to ask from the backend is a status 200. Okay, so let's go and test that. I'm going to run it. And now you think you get back a 404 error, but you actually got a 200 OK status code back. All right. So that's it for a quick intro into API management. Thanks for listening. Remember to delete your resource group if you followed along, and hang on for some further videos. If you're having trouble with the test window loading, then kind of try go back to HTTP API over here, like in the design phase, and then click on test, and then click on the action that you actually want to test. And then it should work. Otherwise, it'll just loop forever. So thanks for this, and see you in your next lab. Till then.